February 1st, Trump says 25% tariffs are coming to Canada. Is he blowing hot air out of his ass, or is he telling the truth? Secondly, is Trudeau trying to continue his dictatorship by starting a trade war? Let's get into it. Mark says the Liberals are banking on trade war Trump to save their sinking ship, hoping to rally wartime support for their collapsing party. But Trump saw right through this. Let's be honest, Trump is pushing Canada for an election. Tariffs delayed, no gift for Trudeau's Liberals, just enough rope for them to finish destroying themselves. This is unreal. Fire. Trump is closing in. Checkmate. I totally agree with this comment right here. Canada should not fight back the trade war. Canada should be focusing on fixing the things Trump said we should. Want to know why? Because it benefits Canada. If we fix those things, and he still wants 25% tariffs on, then we can talk about fighting back. Until then, let's fix our shit. Paul Mitchell made a very good comment here on his X, and we're going to go into it. Canada has been given until February 1st to make a satisfactory deal to stop the flow of fentanyl and illegal migrants across the U.S. border to avoid a 25% tariff on Canadian goods moving into the U.S. My prediction is that the Liberals will make damn sure that Canada doesn't get a deal. The Liberals will sacrifice the economy and the Canadian workers to make sure they can run a political campaign against Donald Trump and, of course, Alberta. The Liberals will divide Canadians just like they did during COVID with their vaccinated versus unvaccinated. This time, it'll be the corrupt Liberals presented as Team Canada, and everyone who is against them as traitors. Any premier that aligns with the Trudeau Liberals should be treated as just as guilty as the Liberals themselves. Ross says, the actual Team Canada was the Convoy. It was the will of the Canadian people. Trudeau arrested, beat, imprisoned, froze banks, illegally used the Emergency Act on Team Canada. Trudeau is no captain of Canada, and I will not follow him. Trudeau must go. What do Liberals do when they're at 18% in the polls and hated? They will ensure that Canada gets into a devastating trade war with America and then point the finger of blame at Donald Trump and Daniel Smith in Alberta. Distract, divide, and destroy. Team Liberal. There is no Team Canada. There's Team Liberal Party working for what's best for that floundering institution. And then there's Team Alberta, ironically doing what's best for all Canadians. I remember when Team Canada destroyed businesses with lockdowns, forced everyone to wear useless masks, segregated society with vaccine mandates, beat up peaceful protesters, destroyed our country with mass immigration, destroyed our currency with money printing. Mr. Sockboy says, President Trump wants a golden age for the United States that can be powered by Canadian resources or by China, Venezuela, or Russia. One thing I've always wondered, are the Liberals really calling the shots? Are they being told what to do? Is the WEF involved? Is China controlling them? I have so many questions. Why is it such a secret to name these 11 traitors that China apparently aided? What's the story behind that? Why is it so secretive? What is really going on? Firearms in Canada's comment is bang on there. Let me get this straight. When there's a Liberal political emergency, the Liberals improperly invoke the Emergencies Act. But when there's a real emergency, looming U.S. tariffs that will cripple our economy, the Liberals are okay with proroguing Parliament and committees while they play political games and try to replace their leader. If you are unsure how tariffs work, this is pretty much bang on. Retaliatory tariffs aren't a punishment for the U.S. They're a tax on you, the Canadian consumer. Every time you buy American goods, you pay the price. And of course the government loves this idea. They don't pay a dime while you foot the bill. What a great plan. Of course he loves that idea. It's more money for him to spend. I'm going to use this as an example on how Justin Trudeau should have did some research instead of running his mouth. For once, Trudeau was clear about how tariffs work. He said ultimately U.S. consumers will pay for the tariffs that Trump applies to Canadian goods, and that Canadians will ultimately pay the tariffs imposed by Trudeau on U.S. goods. He went on saying he hopes this will encourage Canadians to buy Canadian-made alternatives, although his only example was replacing Heinz ketchup with French's ketchup. Let's have a look at this. 5 minutes on Google says the French ketchup factory in Canada is located in London, Ontario. Keynotes: in 2014, Heinz sold its ketchup processing plant in Leamington, Ontario, and moved its operations to the US. Full stop. Get on Google again? Yes, Heinz ketchup is made in Canada at the Kraft Heinz facility in Mount Royal, Quebec. The first bottle of Heinz ketchup produced in Canada rolled off the production line in July of 2021. So what the hell is Trudeau talking about? It took me less than 5 minutes to find this information, and he made himself look like an ass clown on the fucking news. And this is the problem with society. They will not take the time to research and find out their truth on their own. They will take what they see in the media as fact instead of researching. Don't believe anything. Don't trust anything. Question everything. The Trudeau government now promises to remove all interprovincial trade barriers. A promise that is often made and often broken. Wow. That should have been taken care of over 100 years ago. And I just have to say it here. But that screenshot of those lips is definitely something that an OnlyFans model would make. Rod says, for everyone that's been keeping track, it's these people that put us in this position that we're in right now, on purpose. And now they want everyone to think they're the ones saving us. Is everyone else as tired of this bullshit as I am? Melanie Jolly says the Liberals now have a plan regarding Canada-US relations. First, prevent tariffs. Prepare a response. Diversify our economy. Prevent trade barriers between provinces and territories. They've had 9 years to do this so far. That is fact. I must be fair and show the other side as well. I declare myself a member of the resistance. That thing they elected down south must be resisted at all costs. Canadian freedom must be defended in the face of the American fascist threat. The only thing underground about you is that you live in your parents' basement. And yes, those partnerships must include UK's nuclear arsenal. Canada must have its own nuclear deterrent against the United States. It should be stated out loud and renewed, because I don't think that thing they elected gets this. Can anybody tell me why these people always have pronouns in their profile, rainbow flag, Ukrainian flag, or even have like purple or blue hair? There's a common denominator every time, and it's so easy to stand out. Let's be clear, no matter how much you might dislike our Prime Minister, he is not the enemy right now. Justin Trudeau did not cause Donald Trump and his threatened tariffs. It's time to unite, defend our country, and not play politics. 4 years of name-calling and fake resigning, shutting Parliament down, and not even opening a dialogue. Yes, it's Trudeau's fault. All he does is play politics. How is it possible that Parliament is prorogued while a discredited Prime Minister who has said he's resigning allowed to fuck up a deal over border security with America and destroy the Canadian economy with the resulting heavy tariffs? The Canadian system is rigged. I would like to know how government is prorogued that any business is allowed to take place. That's what I want to know. Danielle Smith, in my opinion, is taking a real approach to the situation instead of sockboy. And she says, we all know that if there are tariffs imposed by the U.S., then there would have to be a proportional response by our country. However, when you have a dispute with your best friend and ally, it is entirely counterproductive to escalate the matters by talking about retaliation, how tough we are, and how we plan on hitting our friend back if they hit us. It is far wiser to approach, and a much more Canadian one I might add, to diplomatically identify their concerns through face-to-face engagement and work with them on negotiating a win for both U.S. and Canada. The U.S. president is clearly concerned about border security, achieving energy dominance, and strengthening the shared defense of our continent. Our two countries clearly have shared interests in all of these areas. So let's start there and move forward with a mature discussion as friends should. We need to lead with diplomacy rather than bravado, bluster, and escalation. I will continue to do so. I was actually surprised by the Bloc Québécois siding with Alberta against using energy as a bargaining chip in a trade dispute. The Bloc and Alberta have never really got along, and it's very well documented and clear that there's they don't want our pipelines through Quebec and anything else, but it's an interesting that they said that they're siding with Alberta. So over the past few days, there's been a lot of talk about the tariffs and what's going to happen, and basically I want to know what you guys think. Is Trump blowing hot air? Is he really going to impose 25% tariffs, whether we try to secure the border or not? Will Trudeau purposely start a trade war? How will this end? Will it be a disaster for both countries? Because in a trade war, nobody wins. The government's just taking money out of both of our pockets. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say. On my last video, there's over 400 comments. A lot of great information that people posted. And I'm hoping that this video does the same. Because it's all about engagement. And I want to know what you guys have to say. Anyways, take care, everybody.